Hello and welcome to Time Drive from Pete Chambers. That's me in the Ghost Town car, which is here in the Coventry Music Museum. And as you know, each episode we go back in time, travelling in our mystical car. And this year it's 1986, and we've got a very special guest coming up later on. Bit of a mask thing, bit of a clue. Do you get it? Anyway, that's later on. But for now, let's roll the credits. Well, today we're going back in time to 1986 with a very special guest. Did you get it? The mask? The Phantom of the Opera. Yeah, Dave Willits is going to be here later on, sat in this very seat talking to us all about his musical career. And I know for a fact it's going to be very, very interesting. So 1986, a Coventry band called The Primitives, they had a great song out called Through the Flowers. And did you know, here's a bit of trivia for you, Tracy's mum and dad from The Primitives, well, they're volunteers in the museum, Len and Ruth. They come in every Saturday, bless them, and we love them, along with all our other volunteers, of course. So there's a bit of trivia for you. Right, in 1986, we also had Things Could Be Beautiful from the Colourfield. Great band, of course, and a great video. And all the guys, Toby, Carl, and Terry even, they're all having a great laugh and lots of smiles going on. Who knew, eh? Ultraviolet future rockers Zig Zig Sputnik in 1986 came and played a gig at the Lanch, and it was all kicking off. There was a lot of hype about the band, as you probably know, all the electro rocking stuff that was going on with them. And he was winding up the audience, Martin Degville, the lead vocalist, pretty badly. You remember him with all the hair sticking out the net. Well, he kept winding up the Coventry audience, and in the end, well, they had a song called Love Missile. And he got something that wasn't a love missile. He actually got a bottle thrown at him. And I'm not suggesting that you should go throwing bottles at gigs, boys and girls, but he did wind the audience up quite badly. Right, news-wise, in this year, internationally, in 1986, Spain and Portugal enter the European Community, which later becomes the European Union. Won't say any more about that. The United Kingdom and France announced plans to construct the Channel Tunnel. Wow, 1986, blimey, I thought it would be more than that, but hey. The first case of bovine foot and mouth is diagnosed in British cattle. The Voyager 2 space probe makes its first encounter with Uranus. No giggling there, stop it now. Did you know that Voyager 1 is the most distant man-made object from the Earth, now 13.7 billion miles away from us and still transmitting? I need a phone company like that. Nationally, in 1986, the British-built Peugeot 309 goes on sale in Britain, and it was built at Ryton, near Coventry. Also in the same year, the Sun newspaper alleged that the comedian Freddie Starr ate a live hamster. Yeah, right, okay. And now it's time for our very special guest. The Phantom of the Opera is here, inside my car.
Nice one, Pete.
It's Dave Willits.
How are you, mate? Good to see you.
All right, good to see you.
Good to see
Thank
you.
you so much for coming along. Ever been interviewed in a car before?
First time,
Well,
and I
yeah.
think I'm going to make a habit of it. It's
Oh,
pretty
well,
good, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's not bad. It's not bad.
It's great. It's
We're not going to
fabulous,
get
mate.
very far, but we do travel back in time.
Yeah.
Which is why we picked 1986, which you kind of like started for you. But before we get there, tell us about your life before singing, because you were working in factories and...
Yeah, well,
mills.
when I left school, I actually, like most people, didn't know what I was going to do at all, you know what I mean? And my dad's advice, get an apprenticeship behind you, son, you'll be all right. And you know, that's good advice, really.
Yeah.
It is. Good. It's good
Definitely.
advice, whether it be an apprenticeship or whatever you want to do, get something behind you. And so I went to Girlings, which is a company that make brakes for cars. And I did my apprenticeship, and when you started, I kind of started on a Monday. My very first day of my working life was away from home, and you had to go to Wales to the apprentice school in Cwmbran by Newport, and I was away for 12 months. You know, left school and straight away.
So you were just a teenager, right?
Yeah, I was a teenager, 16, left school, and went to lodge with. We used to call. I mean, it's not derogatory at all, because she was a lovely lady. We used to call Old Ma Matthews.
Oh, right.
And she was a typical Welsh I never saw her without a penny off. You know what I mean? And making Welsh cakes and all that sort of thing. And it was absolutely fantastic. And I did 12 months there, and I came back and I finished off my 5-year apprenticeship, and didn't really know what to do. And by this time, I'd kind of met Lynn, you've met Lynn, who is now my wife. And lo and behold, I was offered a job back in Wales, and I think it must have been the quickest courtship ever, because it wasn't that romantic either, but it was, well, we may as well get married then, you know what I mean, because we knew we were going to get married and we were going to move, and I was offered a job down in Wales, and we moved down to Wales, and I started work as in an engineering company in a quality department, and that was my life for a long time. And while I was down there, I kind of never before been to the theatre in my life. And two friends, work colleagues of mine, were doing a show called No No Nanette in an amateur theatre group. And they came to me one day and they said, "Dad, we can't give these tickets away. You and Lynn want to come and see the show?" So we went, and it was I thought it was one of the most fantastic things I've ever seen. My two mates, Ray and John, who I'd only ever seen up to their elbows in grease, come out in the top hat and tails, and they were giving it the old soft shoe shuffle. And I thought, this is fantastic, you know. And they said, "Well, why don't you come and join?" I said, "Well, I've never sang in my life, never acted in my life, never danced in my life." They said, "That's okay, and none of us can do that very well, you know." So, and they said, "Well, the good thing about it is, after the rehearsals on a weekday, we go to the pub." And I thought, that's a pretty good one. A pretty good reason. Anyway, and I got hooked, and I did all the shows and all the rest of it, and then eventually moved back to Coventry. Got in because I changed jobs. I became a manager for an engineering company. So it was a good jobs company, car, Bupa membership, good salary, etc., etc. And I got involved with the old amateur dramatics again down this neck of the woods. And I did a show in Kenilworth called Charlie and Algernon. And the artistic director, who unfortunately is no longer with us, Bob Hamlin, came to see the show, gave me the chance to audition for their forthcoming production of Annie. And I mean, they say never work with animals and kids. I mean, the whole thing is animals and dogs, you know, in Annie. And I went along to the audition, and he said, "Part's yours if you want it." And I said, "Well, what is it?" He said, "Well, it's third flunky from the left in the chorus." And he tried to talk me out of taking this, you know, this adventure into the world of theatre. But I spoke to Lynn and I spoke about it, and we said, "Look, we'll give ourselves 3 years." And by this time, we'd got Leanne and Kerry, our daughters, and they're only tots. And we gave ourselves 3 years for me to stay just in business, in work. And lo and behold, 12 months later, I was playing Jean Valjean in the lead role in Les Misérables in the West End, and straight from there into Phantom in the West End, and travelled the world.
Well, that's jumping a little bit ahead.
Yeah, but that's my story in a nutshell, mate.
Well, that's amazing. And surely you must have had some idea that you could sing.
I think you do, because I mean, there's always been music in our house. My mum played the piano, and whenever there was more than two of the family around, it became a party. And my mum played the piano, and I've always thought I could hold a tune. But when you jumping ahead a little bit now again, when you get into the world of theatre, it's not so much whether you can hold a tune, it's how you sell the song. And because I consider myself to be an actor who can sing, not a singer who can act. And within theatre, that is the right way around to be an actor who can sing, because when you're in a show like Les Mis or Phantom or any of these big shows, the music and the song take over where the spoken word can't go. But you're still telling the story, even when the music comes in. So you've got to be able to, and it's all about atmosphere, and it's all about tension, and it's all about love, and it's all about whatever you want to be playing. And you can't just do that if you just hit the notes. That's not what it's about.
And of course, it must be quite difficult to be doing that every night on the vocal cords as well,
Well, it can be. I mean, it's especially when you do shows like Les Mis and Phantom and Superstar and Sweeney Todd and all these. I see, back in the day, I seem to have cornered the market in these, tortured soul type shows.
Yeah.
And especially in Les Mis, because 1 minute you're really growling, and the next minute you're singing "Bring Him Home" in falsetto.
Of course.
And you've got to be able to, pace yourself and do that, as you say, 8 times a week. But it's one of those things that you learn. I've never had a lesson for anything in my life, singing, acting, dancing, whatever, but it's one of those things that you pick up.
Yeah.
And you seem to have paid dividends.
Right, so going back a little bit, before, you're talking about obviously starring roles, but would it be the case that most people that are in the chorus line are always wanting to really be the lead? Or are some people that are just content to do that?
It's a good question. And I think if you're one of these people, because going back to these big shows again, but Phantom is 36 years old, right? And there's some people in Phantom that were there when I were there, and they're very happy and contented to do what they do. And one of the things about being in this business is maybe to know your own limitations. Because if you can be in Phantom for 36 years, good luck to you.
Yeah.
And earn a living and have a fantastic life and meet some fantastic people. But if you want to try and get on, then I think it's something in the individual that says, look, I'm doing something. It's when I was in engineering. When I was in engineering, I wanted to be a manager, not the guy in the office who trundles around, running around for everybody. I wanted to be the manager, and it's just exactly the same when I came into the world of theatre. I wanted to get as high up as I could within that business. Yeah.
That's good. I mean, a lot of people are like that, but it's great if people are content, because you sometimes sort of think, oh, bless them, is that where they're going to stay? But if they're happy,
I think they are. Yeah, I know a lot of people who are happy doing that. Pete.
That's great. So, the year 1986, which is what we're kind of like focusing on at the moment, it began for you as you took the lead role in Les Mis, as you're just saying.
That's right.
What was that like to actually, when you finally got that role?
Well, it was fantastic, because what happened was, it was this brand new show, which came under the umbrella of the Royal Shakespeare Company. And I went along for the audition, as everybody does. And it was one of those where everybody and his wife went for these auditions. And it's what we called a cattle market, where it was an open audition, and you took a number like a cheese counter at Tesco's. You take your number and you wait your turn. And this is all new to me. I hadn't done any of this before. And so I took, you took your songs along, and I went along hoping to meet Trevor Nunn and John Caird and Claude Michel Schomburg and Alain Bluebeal, who wrote it, and Martin Koch, the musical supervisor. That, I wanted to meet these people. Got there, none of them were there. It was the kind of second tier that say to the first row of auditions whether you get through to the next lot. Anyway, I went along and I sang a song, and I had a phone call saying, could you come back for a recall audition? And at this point, everyone was there. The writers, Trevor Nunn, the director, John Caird, the assistant director, everybody and their dogs was there. And again, this is all new to me. And I took along a song, "Luck Be a Lady" from Guys and Dolls.
Oh, yeah.
Bore no resemblance at all to Les Mis at all. But anyway, I kind of did the song, and Trevor came up to me afterwards, and after the song said, David said, I wonder if you could sing this. And he gave me a sheet of music. And I thought, in for a penny, in for a pound. I said, sorry, Trevor, I don't read music. Never have, never could, probably never will, right? And he said, "Oh, that's okay." He said, "Come down here, get round the piano," and it took me back for an instant to our front room when my mum played the piano, and I thought to myself, just imagine it's that, right? Forget all these people who are around here, and they played, and they said, "Martin, play the soliloquy. Dave's going to do the soliloquy." And it was, I don't know whether anybody's seen Les Mis, but Martin played this thing, and the thing about not being able to read music is you develop a good ear, and you pick things up quite quickly. And so he played this, and Trevor wanted to talk, and I said, "Don't talk. While I remember it, don't talk." And it was, "Take an eye for an eye, turn your heart into stone. This is all I have lived for. This is all I have known." And it was all this soliloquy, and I did it. I thought, okay, remembered it. Did all that. Finished the audition, and Trevor walked up the aisle with me of the Astoria Theatre. That's how long ago it is, because that's not there anymore. It's Tottenham Court Tube Station.
Of course, yeah.
Anyway, so Trevor and I got nunnified, and in the business, when you get nunnified, it's this arm around your shoulder.
Oh yeah.
And he talks very solemnly to you, and he said, "Dave," he said, the last character to be cast in Les Mis is the lead character, of Les Mis, Jean Valjean." And he said, "Colin Wilkinson came in yesterday and did it, and you just come in now, so I've got to do it in the right order, so it's Colin, but would you be understudy?" And I said, "I would die to be understudy,
Yeah.
First big role." Anyway, 12 months down the line, I was offered the part. And so, and I stayed there for another 12 months doing Les Mis, and eventually, in the years to come, I did it in Australia and all over the place. So it's a great thing.
Well, before we come on to Phantom of the Opera, I did ask you before you came about your favourite single and your favourite album.
Yeah.
So first of all, let's have your favourite single.
Well, I just think it's the best duet ever written. Dolly and Kenny, Islands in the Stream.
And we're back with our star, Dave Willits. So Dave, we're coming up to now what I consider the big one, whether you would say that, but Phantom of the Opera. I mean, having to walk into the shoes of Michael Crawford.
Yeah, when I was doing Les Mis, Phantom opened. So I was doing Jean Valjean, and Michael was doing Phantom, and then Michael left to take Phantom to Broadway, and I went into Phantom. But people, your question there about, oh God, it must have been, big shoes to fill. To be quite honest, it wasn't really, because for the simple reason, no two actors look alike, sing alike, act alike, walk alike, talk alike. You don't do that, and no actor tries to simulate what any other actor has done, because you're bringing your own style to it. And that's what I decided to do, because I'd never seen Phantom, because when Phantom was on, I was working as well, so I'd never seen it. So, I knew the music. So when I went into rehearsals, it was my take on it. And you obviously, because of the direction of the show, you have to walk from A to B and from C to D, because that's the choreography of the show. But how you walk from A to B is your style, and how you interpret a line is your style, and how you interpret the character is your style. And I must have done something good, because I did it for over 2,000 performances, on and off.
And award winning as well.
Yes, I won awards for it,
forget that.
which was fantastic. It's nice to be recognised, but it's not the be all and end all of the business. It was one of those things where I got an Evening News Award for it, but it doesn't mean to say you're going to work for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. And just to let people know, a little bit of trivia, we actually have Dave's mask
Yeah.
The Phantom Mask is actually in the museum, so if you ever want to see it, and I hope you do, come along, visit the museum and have a look at that and everything else we've got in there.
Absolutely. Yeah, one of the original masks. Yeah.
So, I believe you were the first person in the world to have played both lead roles in Les Mis and Phantom.
Yes, I wasn't.
And does that still remain?
It still remains.
Wow.
The first person, yeah. And I didn't realise this at all. Or it kind of it may have flitted in somewhere into the back of the consciousness, but it was I was doing some interviews and some work with Gloria Honeyford, and she introduced me that way, and I thought, she's right, and I thought that's quite a nice thing.
That's amazing,
to have,
really. I mean,
it
says a lot, doesn't it, really? And for me, the next one as well. I mean, 1990, you appeared opposite Petula Clark in Someone Like You.
Yeah.
Now there's a legend.
Petula, from 1990 to now, she's still a good friend. She's one of the most unassuming people you could wish to meet. She just takes everything in her stride. She's quite shy, but one of the most lovely and beautiful people you could ever meet.
No diva about her at all.
No diva at all. And it's this kind of, and I think a little bit of that rubbed off on me to a degree, having worked in the so-called proper world. I came into this business, and you can soon pick out the people who think they're good, and there's a difference between thinking you're good and being good.
I can imagine. That's a good way of thinking.
It is, and you soon pick them out. And I think I've never ever I've always taken the theatre as a job. I go to work, I do my job, and I come home. And I think in 38 years, I think now I've been doing this, and I can count on one hand the amount of show business parties I've been to. It's not my cup of tea.
No.
And I think you stand or fall by your performances.
Could I just ask, while you're talking about that, I presume you must have at some point met the man himself, Lord Webber.
Oh, Andrew, yeah, absolutely.
Andrew, of course.
Oh, yes.
Well, I call him Lord, but you can call him Andrew.
Oh, yeah, me and Andy, we go back a long way. That is, again, he's just a lovely man.
But surely to be in his presence, the first time.
Oh, the first time in anybody's presence like that. I mean, he's a doyen, isn't he, of British musical theatre. And to be in this, when you're first talking to him, you don't want to put a foot wrong, and everything's yes sir, type of thing. But I've been to his house a few times, and you walk in to his mansion, and he's got all these paintings up, the Rembrandts, and stuck on with blue tack on the frame at the bottom is his kids he's done at school. You know what I mean? And it's just... It
sort of says it all.
It does say it all. And again, the guy's a genius.
Of course, yeah.
And so you can accept certain things, from people like that because he is a genius. But I think I've done 4 to 5 of his shows now. And they're all works of art. They really are.
Well, speaking of that, I've got a list of shows, not just his, of course, but this is a sort of your CV, or some of it, only some of it. But Jesus Christ Superstars, Sweeney Todd, Cats, Ragtime, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, South Pacific, 42nd Street, Sunset Boulevard. I mean, you've done them all. I mean, you're like an encyclopedia of
I mean, the more you add on to there, it means the older I am. But I just feel so blessed to have been able to do these shows, and they are just the standout shows of our time, And to have done those shows and to have played the lead in those shows,
of course,
is fantastic.
Well, have you got anything any stories or anything?
Oh my gosh!
I mean, I know it's a big question because there's a lot of
titles. I mean, the big stories, I suppose, all revolve around Les Mis and Phantom, and that. I mean, Phantom. For people who have seen Phantom now, I mean, the technology has moved on so much, but the scene where the Phantom takes Christine down to his lair in the boat, and the candles are coming up, and the mist is there, and the organ's coming on. It's "Sing once again with me our strange duet," and the boat's going, and all of a sudden the boat stops when it shouldn't, right?
Okay.
And what used to happen, it was like, you know, when you take your kids with the remote controlled aircraft to the park, there was a man in the wings with a joystick working the boat, right?
Yeah.
And it worked on sound waves. And every time an ambulance or a fire engine or whatever went past, it used to mess up the controls, and it used to stop. Now you have to make a decision now whether to stay in the boat and hope it starts again, or get out as if it was supposed to have stopped.
Yeah.
So, and I used to speak to Sarah Brightman and Claire Moore and these people and say, look, if it stops, we get in out and we'll walk the route and no one will know the difference at all. Apart from when the boat starts up again, when no one's in it and it's chasing you around the stage, which is a bit of a giveaway. But there's lots of stories. There've been some again in Phantom. I had an accident where I fell 20 feet in a blackout from a moving bridge onto the stage, and it was like a Hollywood movie. The show was stopped one by one. The orchestra would stop playing, and the other cast members would stop singing. The crew ran on. The audience were watching all this.
Yeah.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you know, it's all a bit Hollywood. And I'm lying there. I was knocked out. The paramedics came on, tore the mask off, had to cut up all the suit off, strapped me to a stretcher because I didn't know whether I'd broken my back or whatever.
Yeah, of course.
And being all very careful, apart from the fact that the stage was 2 floors down below street level, and to get up it was a spiral staircase. So I'm now on this stretcher, feet first, being bounced up this spiral staircase.
No, the angle of that.
Yeah, but it was, you know, it all worked out okay.
Oh, blimey.
Yeah, but majority of times things go pretty good.
And is there a part that you still long to play, or would like to play?
Do you know, I never kind of do that really, Pete, because it's one of those things where, I mean, if Trevor Nunn, for instance, came to me and said, David said, I think you'd be a fantastic in Henry V Part 2. You know, I think, oh, well, go on then, I'll give it a go, but it's not on my top of the list, you know what I mean?
No.
But I never do that. I've got a lot of other things in my life happening, and I think, you know, you'd be forever kind of wanting stuff. You know, enjoy your life. You know, enjoy your life.
You're obviously that sort of person.
Yeah, I don't do that. I enjoy my life. I do a lot of work for the Alzheimer's and things like that, but we'll come to that.
We'll come to that in a minute. Yeah, of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
Somebody told me that you were a subject of This Is Your Life. Is that right?
Yes, I was.
Wow.
I was, yeah.
Because that's quite an accolade in itself.
I used to watch that programme from when I was a kid, and I used to love the programme. And, you know, the older you get, you think, oh, they must know that, you know.
Yeah.
And it was, my agent rang and she said, Tyne Tees Television want to do a documentary on you. So cut a very long story short, for 2 weeks they were coming to the house, they were filming us, they were filming my children, filmed Lynn, they filmed me driving up the motorway, in the dressing room, blah, 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 blah. And on this particular Wednesday, my agent said, she rang up and said, they've finished the documentary, Dave, but they're going to be in the theatre tonight because they want to do a final shot of you taking your bows in Phantom. And I thought, oh, that's okay. So I thought nothing of it when I got there and saw all these outside broadcast vans. I thought nothing of it. Did the show, fabulous show. Came on, took my bow. Everybody was applauding. Then all of a sudden, the applause went up about 10 decibels. And I thought, And the rest of the cast all took about 6 paces back, which they'd been told to do. And I thought, there's something going on here. And I looked across and I saw Michael Aspel coming out the wings. And honestly, I thought, God, this is going to be good. It's somebody's This Is Your Life. And he came and he stopped next to me. Dave Willits, This Is Your Life. And for once, I was lost for words. But I know people who have been, caught, but I don't do that, refuse to do it. And I've been a guest on other people's This Is Your Lives. And one of them's Petula's, funny enough, going back. But I loved it. I thought, what a fantastic accolade, not only for me, but for my mum and dad.
Yeah.
And my wife and Leanne and Kerry, and we've got the big red book at home. And it's there for them to see for the rest of it. And this is what I do. A lot of the things I do now, I do albums and I do this, that and the other. For me, it's just to see what Pops did for my grandkids.
Yeah.
Show what Pops used to do. That's what it's about,
Right, well, we've had your favourite single.
Yeah.
Now we're going to ask for your favourite album and a track from that.
Oh,
now, it's quite difficult because I know what you're going to say, because it's Simon and Garfunkel, isn't it?
It is.
Bridge
Over Troubled Waters. I suppose if you're doing Bridge Over Troubled Waters, you've got to go with the title track. And I've covered this and recorded it on albums, and it's just one of the most fantastic songs ever written.
And welcome back with our guest, Dave Willits. Right, now we're coming up to more recent things, and something that's really close to your heart, of course, is the Dave Willits Foundation, which helps those living with dementia through music. So tell us about it. It sounds fascinating.
Well, about 6 years ago, I saw a program on TV about how music helps people who are living with dementia, and it was all supplied by the Alzheimer's Society, and it was through a session called Singing for the Brain. And I thought, I'd like to get involved in that. So I rang up the society and said, look, I'd like to volunteer for Coventry's Singing for the Brain, because it's a nationwide service that's provided. And they said, oh, Coventry hasn't got one. I thought, aren't we something like, 6th, 7th, 8th biggest city in the country or something? Shouldn't we have one? Yeah, well, we haven't got one at the moment. And I kind of put the phone down. I said to Lynn, we should start this. So anyway, cut a long story short, 12 months down the line, I set up Coventry's Singing for the Brain, and we are now the biggest attended in the country. Wow. In fact, I was doing, we have sessions the first 2 Mondays of every month at Queen's Road Baptist Church, and so I did one this morning, which was fantastic, and we have over 100 people come. And we have, it's just 2 hours of pure fun, enjoyment, singing. I tell a few jokes, I tell a few stories. And when people left, I could see, what it meant to them, how much they enjoyed it. But also, unfortunately, the minute they left, they've forgotten where they've been. So I thought, how can I extend this? So what I did, I can't do anything medical, but I have access to studios and musicians, and so I decided to do a series of albums under the title of Memories. And the very first one was just called Memories, and it was every single song on there was what we do at these sessions, and it was a very good production values, but minimum production values. It was me and my guitar and maybe piano and bass and a few bit percussion, so that the people could relate immediately to it. Oh, that's what Dave does. That's what we sing. And anyway, so jumping forward, the next one I did, which is funnily enough released last Thursday, was Memories of a Mellow Christmas.
Oh, right.
And that's now for sale, and actually it's for sale in HMV in Coventry. So please go down and purchase it, because every single penny, I don't get anything from it. I've paid the record company off, so they don't take anything from the sale. Every single penny goes into the Dave Willits Foundation, which, as you said, is there to help people living with dementia through music. And also what I do, we're having an old time music hall, which the foundation pays for, afternoon teas which the foundation pays for, and all these people, you know, and it's as much for the carers and spouses as it is for the people who are living with dementia.
Imagine, yeah.
It's so hard, Pete. It is so hard. And they deserve as much help and respite and, you know, just to take the weight off for a couple of hours. And a couple of hours for a carer and a spouse is like a week, you know. And that's what the foundation does. That's what Singing for the Brain does. So please, if you, as I say, if you can also, if you're not anywhere near HMV, you can go into www.davewillits.com, click on the foundation link, and you can purchase the albums. But they're also for sale in HMV whenever you're passing.
Brilliant. Well, I agree with you there, because they do say your music's one of the things that's sort of almost the last thing to go. And we've had people coming here with their, you know, grown-up children with their elderly parents, and they suddenly, like in particular, like Bev Jones, and they recognised her. And you've got the, you know, the grown-up children crying because their mum and dad have come lucid again, and they're talking about the memories, and they haven't seen it, you know, in so long.
Yeah, you know something, Pete? We had a lady there from Australia today, and she was with her parents, and one of the things the Alzheimer's Society weren't too keen on is getting the people up to dance. And I thought, no, we'll do this. We have enough fantastic volunteers to control the situation. And the first time I did it, going back, some of the years now, everybody was in tears, because what happens is there is no physical contact sometimes for months on end, and all of a sudden they've recognised a song, they're up dancing. And especially from the ladies, the wives and the carers, they just burst into tears. They haven't held or danced with their husbands for years, maybe. And it's just unbelievable, Pete, what music can do to people.
It's incredible.
It really is, and it's just, it has to be supported, because it's there for the grace of God, to be quite honest. And there's fantastic work being done to find a cure. But until we find it, which is the holy grail, isn't it, really?
Well, yeah,
until you can find that, for me, is quality of life. And that's what the foundation, as I say, started out to do.
Brilliant. Dave, thank you so much.
Cheers, mate. It's been fantastic, Peter. In the car. Can't believe it. Absolutely brilliant.